Hello guys and welcome to the very first episode of the BeamNG modding tutorial series. And in this very first episode we are going to have a look at what we need, what programs we need to actually mod BeamNG, and then we'll start off with an easy example how to just get something very basic to spawn. So yeah, let's get started. The very first thing you obviously need is a text editor or code editor. I use Notepad++. It's quite simple. It's got syntax highlighting. Yeah, got everything you need basically. Yeah, it's a pretty basic one, but it's good. Yeah, link in the description. There will see other ones as well, like Visual Studio Code. But that's a little bit heavier to run and a lot of features that you don't necessarily need. Yeah, so I would recommend this one, but it's more of a personal preference. And then you'll need a 3D modeling software. Blender would be the obvious choice. Yeah, I don't know why you would pick anything else, but yeah, Blender is what you should be going for. And you'll also need a texture editor or image editor or something like that. Obviously, if you're rich, you can have Photoshop. If not, Paint.net should be enough for what we'll be doing. But we don't need those last two today. Only going to write a little bit of code to get started. So first of all, you're going to choose a location where you will have your project stored. I'm just going to do it on a desktop real quick. Gonna call it tutorial v2 because I already have a tutorial project, because this is recorded after most of the episodes that are out right now. I'm just redoing the first few ones because there are some certain unclarities and even false information in there. So yeah, I'm making new ones. So yeah, if you go in here to your project folder, first thing you do is another folder, and we're going to call this one vehicles, simply because we are trying to modify what vehicles we have in the game. We will add a vehicle, so yeah, so that will happen inside this folder. There are also other folders. So if you would do something with mapping, you would put that into the levels folder. But yeah, we are going to stick to vehicles. So, and then in there make another folder for the vehicle you want to change or add. So you will have to come up with some internal name that you will use for your vehicle. By the way, vehicle is everything that can be spawned from this menu. Anything in here is technically a vehicle. So yeah. So give it a short name, without any spaces, without any special characters, just yeah, something easy. We'll call mine tutorial v2. And yeah, in here we will do most of our work. Yeah. So let's open up Notepad or whatever you have, and the first file out of two that are necessary is the info.json file. JSON is just file format, and the info file tells BeamNG some basic information about your vehicle. So basically everything on the side here. And also this. This is all of these things are from the info file from the board at 350. But you don't need all of that. And because it's a JSON file, you start and open it these brackets. Let's quickly save it to our location here, call it info, and change that to a JSON file. Save it, and you can see Notepad automatically adds that. So the minimum things we need in here is a name for the vehicle. Then we'll also need an author and a type. So for name, I'm just going to code tutorial v2, author is me, or authors, multiple, and type it's a vehicle. That's the minimum you should have, but we can add others, like brand would be an obvious one, so MorzBNGs and comma at the end. By the way, before the last bracket there is no comma behind there, but we can also extend this to a bit more. This is just preparation for something we'll do later. The default PC file. The PC file is a configuration file, meaning which configuration will be loaded as a default. So for example, you just go in here, double click, that's what the default would be. But since we don't have any configuration files yet, you just go for default. And another thing is color. You can set a default color, the default one that we want. But to get there, first we need to add a color to have. This again in these brackets right here. And you can start doing any kind of color, for example, white, just give it a name and then an RGB value, so that's 1111 RGBA technically, and then we can set a default color of white. And by the way, Control D notepad is duplicating. You can also make a red, which would only be red, yeah, red 1 0 0, and yeah. So that's everything for the info file. Obviously, you can see that there are more things in here. Country, derby class, performance class, body style, and years, and something like that. But this is the standard. This is what you should have. And then the other necessary file would be the first Jbeam file. And let's also save that. You need to go to all types, and the main Jbeam file where you start should be usually the same as your internal name. Yeah, and then if you have different Jbeam files, you can add underscore and then just like, I don't know, brakes underscore brakes or suspension or different things like that. But we're just gonna start off with this one. Jbeam is similar to JSON, it's based on that. So in Notepad you can go to language, then select JSON, so we'll give you a nice highlighting. And also just like JSON, we start and end with the brackets. And inside a Jbeam file, you can have different Jbeam sections, each one a different part. So for example, if you have a Jbeam file that's called, in my case, tutorial v2 underscore suspension, and in there you can have different parts. You can have a part for the front suspension, a part for the rear, and like different kinds of suspension. So yeah, and you define a new part by just going in here and a name, then the colon, and close it back off. You can already see it's quite similar to this one, this right here. Yeah. And the first thing we need for our part is some information about it. The first thing would be obviously a name for the part. Since this is the main Jbeam where it all starts, just we'll call it tutorial v2. Then we need an author, authors, yeah, that's me obviously, and a value. Yeah, value, just how valuable it is, that part. Not really a unit, but yeah, just give your part some sort of reasonable value, and you could see actually here that will show the value of all the parts right there. So I'll just give it a basic value of 1000. Again, no comma before the end, before the bracket. So yeah. Now the next thing would be the slot type. Now we don't do slots yet, but this has to be done, otherwise it won't work at all. The slots are, you can see slots here. So the body of the vehicle, the 3-door hatchback unibody, has a slot for an anti-lock braking system. That's the slot right here. And BeamNG needs a starting slot where it starts to build the entire vehicle from, and that would be the main slot. So that's why we need it. The slot system itself is explained in the future tutorial. Yeah. So don't worry about that. Just leave it like that. So now we can actually start with the notes. I hope you watched the introduction video from the playlist. It's all the tutorials are in the playlist, so you know where to find them. And yeah, so first we have to go in here and we need to tell BeamNG what we are actually going to do here. So first, every node has an ID. So this is what we're doing here, is the header of the nodes. A node also needs a X position, a Y position, and a Z or Z or whatever position. And when we are going to now make a node, we'll have to fill in the information for that one. So to go for T for tutorial and call it C. Explain that in a little bit. I call it C, and then give it a position in all of the axes. So I'm just going to go 0, 0, 0 to make it centered. That's why the C. And let's make one node in each direction. So one on the x-axis, one of the y, and one of the z-axis. To understand where they are going to land, I need to explain the coordinate system in BeamNG. So we have the x-axis, which goes left to right, and left is positive x, right is negative x. Similar with the y-axis, front is negative y, back is positive y, and for z-axis we have positive z is up, negative is downwards, although you don't really go negative. Obviously you can't have doubled names, doubled IDs, but wait. I need to explain the keyboard bindings for debugging. So if you press Ctrl B, you can cycle through different, you can see at the top left, different visualization type for the beams. Then for node labels, and so always will show on top what kind of mode you're in. And these right here, what you can see are all the node IDs. So if we would later spawn this, we could see these showing up. And Control M is also for node, but you can not only see these are just labels for the nodes, and here you can actually see the nodes. And also different modes there. So now, as I said, positive X is left, positive Y is back, and positive Z or Z is up. And you might ask why I arranged them in this very specific pattern, one in each direction. That's because we need ref nodes or reference nodes. They basically tell BeamNG which direction the vehicle is facing, where up and down is, and where left and right is on the vehicle itself. So if you wouldn't get that right, you could spawn like in weird directions and things like that. So just like in the node section and the ref node section, we also need a header. First we have the main ref ref node, and here we need to put a colon because we are referencing something that has already exists. So yeah, that's why we need to put a colon here, because we will put in the ID of a node that's already down here. So yeah, then there is the left one, then there is the back one, and the up one. There is also the left corner and right corner, but we won't be dealing with them right now. Left and right corner are basically here at the front of your car, and they are mostly used for triggering checkpoints, for example, or so the AI knows where the outermost edges of your car, things like that. They aren't strictly necessary, but we would add them later on. But not to make things that are already complicated even more complicated for a beginner like you, we're just going to stick to them. So first node would be the TC one. The center node or the center rev node is TC. Then we have TL for left, TB for back, and TU for up. And you have to be careful with this because they have to be aligned, like right now. And for example, if you change any of them, like the angle, if they're not aligned with the axis they're representing, wow, then yeah, you get some errors which is spawning. So like car would spawn at a slight angle or upside down or things like that, like I already said. So yeah, keep them all aligned and it will work out. And yeah, that's already as much as we're going to do today. So to get all of this into an actual mod that we can put into the game, you right click the vehicles folder, send to, and a zip compressed folder, or however it's called, and then give it your internal name. And then by the way, that's how you get to your BeamNG mod folder. You press Windows R, type in %appdata%, hit enter or click OK. Then you get into your app data roaming. Have to go one step back into local, and then you find BeamNG. Go to latest, and here you can see the mods folder, and here you can drag in your mod. You can see here that's the tutorial from the most recent episode where we've already progressed very far. You can see that's how it's gonna look like. And if you now go into mods, you can see tutorial v2 is in here. In reload, every time you go in here, and then for example, if you change something in here, then you save it, and then you can copy it directly into that folder. But I always deactivate and activate it again, so it's probably loaded in. And now you can go to the vehicles, and you find the tutorial v2 right here. You can see factory red, white, these colors here. Obviously no preview yet. And brand is MorzBNG. It's a mod as source, and something's wrong with the color, it seems. Yeah, oh, damn it, you don't actually put any commas in here. Yeah, sorry, my bad. You just leave a space. Oh, no, copied the wrong file. There you go. Now you can see reload the mod. Go back in here. Place. And yeah, you can see, well, you can't see anything, but if we go press Ctrl N and Ctrl M, we pause and restart, you can see that we have our 4 nodes in here. We have our up node, we have the left node on the left, and we have the back node back here. So it all worked out. And yeah, the units are in metric in programming. So yeah, if you're used to freedom units, yeah, you maybe have to adapt a little, but you can find converters, and you just know how to convert things and like that. So yeah, here we have everything we'll do today, or at least in this episode. You can go check out the next one, which is a lot older than this one, as I said. I'm remaking them right now. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Leave a like if you liked this video and it helped you. Dislike if you didn't, and leave a comment suggesting something.